Something feels different in Miami today, and you can feel it in the air. That win last night did more than boost the record. It hit deep. The leaders felt it. The fans felt it. But not everything was sunshine, because one brutal loss on defense has everyone on edge, and if you thought you'd seen it all, wait until you hear about the defensive shakeups that could change the course of this season. So tell me, how far can this team really go? You're not gonna believe what we've got today. Grab a seat, hit that like button, and let's get straight into it. Subscribe now so we can hit 1,000 and show what Dolphins Nation is made of. It was one of those days when being a Dolphins fan just felt right again. The stadium had a different vibe. The sun felt hotter, and the energy on that field was redemption in motion. After weeks of catching heat from the media and whispers about the locker room falling apart, Miami clapped back in the loudest way possible. By absolutely dominating the Atlanta Falcons in every phase of the game, that wasn't just a win, that was a statement. At first, not many believed it. Sure, the Falcons came in shaky, but nobody expected that kind of swagger from Miami. The defense played like it had something to prove, reading plays before they happened, forcing turnovers, playing with a fire that had been missing. Meanwhile, the offense looked free again, guys smiling, celebrating, vibing like a brotherhood that refused to break. The result, a complete performance that shut down all the doubts and reignited the fan base. But what really stood out was what happened after the game. Team captain Jordan Brooks didn't hold back in his interview. He made it clear the locker room is fully behind Mike McDaniel. Brooks said that even through the rough patches, the leaders made a choice to protect their coach. That's not just talk, that's chemistry, that's accountability, that's what winning cultures are built on. And it's fitting that Brooks was the guy leading the charge. He didn't just rack up tackles, he set the tone for the whole defense. When your captain plays like that, the message is loud and clear. We're in this together. His comments about sticking to McDaniel's vision, even when there's disagreement, showed maturity and purpose. That's the difference between a team that's lost and one that's finding its identity. The contrast from a week ago is wild. Just 7 days earlier, Miami got embarrassed by the Browns. The national media called them soft, said they'd lost their edge. Then, less than a week later, they came out with fire and joy. That kind of turnaround doesn't happen from scheme tweaks alone. It comes from leadership, from pride, from that inner switch that flips when players decide they've had enough. Now comes the real test. Thursday night football against the Baltimore Ravens, a desperate Ravens team trying to climb back, and a Dolphins squad ready to prove last week wasn't a fluke. Can Miami bring that same defensive heat under the national spotlight? More than ever, consistency will define who this team really is. One thing's for sure, Miami's still got soul, still got hunger. The fans needed that. The stands were alive again. Hope was back in the air. And when a team plays with that much heart like they did on Sunday, the impossible starts to feel possible. Because if Brooks and the rest of that locker room are truly locked in with McDaniel, the best is yet to come. But that wasn't even the biggest shock of the day. Right as fans were celebrating, the air got sucked out of the room. Storm Duck, the young corner who'd been making a name for himself, went down hard, torn ACL. Season over. One of those gut punch injuries that remind you how unforgiving this game can be. Duck wasn't just another guy on the roster. He symbolized what Miami's been trying to build: development, grit, growth from within. An undrafted kid who fought for every rep and earned respect the hard way. Seeing him carted off was heartbreaking, and the timing couldn't be worse. The Dolphins' secondary has been a war zone since week 1. Kader Kohou and Artie Burns both went down earlier in the year with ACL tears. Duck was stepping up, holding his ground, giving this defense depth when it needed it most. Mike McDaniel confirmed on Monday what everyone feared. Storm Duck is done for the season. The road back is going to be long and tough. For a young player trying to build his name, that's a cruel setback. But if we've learned anything about him, it's that he doesn't quit. The real question now is, how does Miami fill that gap? Things get complicated when you look back at the offseason moves. The team let Kendall Fuller go and traded Jalen Ramsey, betting on youth and speed. On paper, it looked smart, but football isn't played on paper. Injuries turned that bet into a real headache. To be fair, the defense had been holding up surprisingly well. Allowing just 199 passing yards per game is playoff-caliber stuff. especially considering the bodies lost. That's credit to Anthony Weaver and the resilience of the remaining guys. But losing Duck stretches an already thin group even further. Duck's future is uncertain too. His deal runs through 2026, but a knee injury like that can change everything. Whether he comes back at full strength or not could decide his future in Miami. The truth is harsh, but it's the NFL. No one waits for you to heal. For now, all we can do is root for Duck's full recovery and back the guys stepping up. Rasul Douglas, who came in late, needs to stay sharp. The young Dubs have to grow up fast, and Weaver's going to need every bit of creativity to keep this thing together. Because one thing's certain, if Miami wants to stay in the playoff race, they can't afford another blow in the secondary. But hold on, because what's coming next might just blow your mind. If you've been following the Dolphins for a while, you know how wild this defense can be. One week they frustrate you, the next they look like the 70s no-name defense reborn. Over the past 2 games, something's clicked, and it's not luck, it's attitude. Anthony Weaver's group finally found that balance between discipline and aggression, and the win over Atlanta proved it. You could see it in their eyes. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb looked like men on a mission. From the first snap, they hunted. The Falcons' offense couldn't breathe, holding them to just 10 rushing yards in the first half. That's not random, that's film study, execution, pride, and it all started up front. Weaver pushed for more rotation, more unpredictability, more bite. The result was relentless pressure that made Kirk Cousins look completely lost. Jalen Phillips and rookie Chop Robinson were living in the backfield, forcing chaos and setting the tone. When your defense plays like that, it feeds your entire team. Brooks, again, was the heartbeat. Every hit mattered. Every signal he gave rallied the guys around him. Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips clogged up the middle like vets. 60 minutes of pure physical and mental dominance. The kind of effort that can turn a season around. And the secondary, man, they came alive. Minkah Fitzpatrick looked like the anchor Miami's been missing, reading everything like he had the playbook memorized. Rasul Douglas fit right in, making key plays like he's been in aqua and orange his whole life. And Dante Trader Jr., after getting benched, came back swinging. Played angry, played with purpose, earned his stripes all over again. What's wild is this isn't the first time we've seen a defensive awakening like this. Last year, when Miami was sitting at 2-6, it was Weaver's defense that turned things around. The unit carried the team back into relevance. The difference now, the adversity's even heavier. No Tyreek Hill for the rest of the season. No Darren Waller for weeks. And a patched-up O-line. If the Dolphins are going to keep the dream alive, the defense has to carry the torch. And honestly, it feels like they're ready for it. The fire's back. The locker room feels connected again. Seeing that defense play with that kind of rage and focus brought the fans back to life. They've done it before. They can do it again. But will the spark last this time? 3 stories, 1 heartbeat, a dominant win that reignited belief, a brutal injury that tested resolve, and a defense reborn, carrying the city's hope. The question now is simple. Has Miami finally rediscovered who they really are? Every tackle, every play, every drop of sweat seems to say yes. So tell me, do you believe in this comeback? Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe. Let's show the league that Dolphins Nation never quits.